New to the framework is what we call a call to action widget, just right in here. I'm going to get you to just watch that region while I reload the page. See how it animates in? It's supposed to catch the user's attention and give them something to do. Now, you don't need to use it like a call to action where there's a button. You can just use it as animated text on the page. But the intention was so that it was a call to action. And so that's what we're going to stick with as far as what we're going to call it. Now you can configure this from the left-hand side, or the myriad menu, or I should say the framework menu, and you can create as many of these as you like. So you can have a different one on each page. You can have multiple calls to action on each page, but do understand the more animation you have, the slower that the page is going to play, and the slower the animations are going to be. It's based off of CSS3, so in older browsers the text will just display without any animation. It is very fast to load as far as the page is concerned. There's not a lot of overhead. It's built into modern day browsers. Maybe not Internet Explorer 8. I'm pretty sure Internet Explorer 9 and 10 do cover this, but nothing before that. In any case, it degrades gracefully if the browser doesn't support it. And really, we want to be trying to push the envelope as far as good, clean code that modern browsers support. So you can add new calls to action. You can edit the one that's already here by default. So when we load it up here, it's going to be very similar to the contact forms that you may have already seen. And you can click and drag these as you like. Currently we just have two object types, a text and button, but you can have as many as you like. And just like the contact forms, you can switch this over to layout mode and see that we have a 75% and a 25% and then 100%. And so what that means is this is going to be right beside that, and then you can set the animation just as we see here. This is going to slide in right, which is the button. It's going to go zoom in this way. This is going to slide in left. It's going to zoom in that way. It's going to be right aligned, which means it's going to be stopping about there, and this one is going to be left aligned, so it's going to zoom in and stop about there, so to speak. And then from the bottom, we're going to have another piece of text and zoom right up from the bottom. And you can change your alignment. You can change the size of the text. You can obviously change the text that's there, or the text that's on the button. And you can choose from a number of pre-built animations. So I think we've got here about 15 or so. And these are the most appropriate. There are more different types of transitions available, but this is what we've chosen to include. And it should probably cover most situations. So this is the call to action here. You can create more. How do you get it onto your page? Well, first of all, the best thing to do is to make sure that you have a widget that contains the call, I should say a sidebar that contains the call to action widget. By default, when we do the installation, we allow that. And so we've got an advertising region here, and within it, call to action. Okay, and you will find that the call to action widget, if you want to add it to another region, is here, and just click and drag. On it, you can also specify the default call to action. So we probably want to have a default call to action unless you want it disabled by default on all your pages, but generally you want to have something specified already. Hit save, and then so it will show up wherever a page has the advertising sidebar associated with it. So let's go to the home page. All right. Edit the home page. There we go. So we switch over to the layout tab, and we're going to see that we have an advertising region, and we've assigned it the advertising sidebar. We tried to call these things something similar to make sense to you. And then we've given it a background style of diagonal stripes, and made sure that of course the call to action is here. All right. Next, make sure the page is saved. One other thing that we can do here is now say you wanted to have a call to action down in the breadcrumb region as well. Why don't we go and do that? So we're going to just use the same region called advertising. Okay, so we're going to have a call to action here and a call to action there. And if we switch over to our general tab, we're going to find that we have this advertising area. You can use the default widget, I should say, or you can specify a second or different widget. So we've got two call to actions. We could specify something different here, or we can say, hey, do not display the call to action in this region. So if I had created a second call to action by going to the calls to action, I could have that animation displayed lower down on the page as well. If we were just to save this page, we'll just see what this looks like when we have two calls to action. I'm pretty sure here that I did not configure the background style for the second call to action. Let's just go see what that looks like anyways. So we just scroll down just a little bit here, and yep, animated here but not up here. And why is that? Using the site default. Oh, that's the drop down menu, my mistake. I said do not display a call to action. Why don't we use the default? Alright, let's just go and reload the page. So we have the call to action. We actually have it just animate onto the page twice. You can see this one has a styled background, this one doesn't. So you can really change this up by creating a second call to action. Let's go and do that real brief. We're going to add a new object. We're going to call it a text object. We're going to have this slide in down. Center, we're going to just give it an H3, sounds fine. We're going to add another object. We're just going to have it as text as well. We're going to give it as a paragraph, and we're going to say we're going to have it fade in up big. And centered looks good to me. Let's just save the changes. Alright. Then we need to go back to our page editor. Go back to the home page. And we're going to configure so that the second animation is using, that's the contact form again, missed that. Second call to action. Alright, we hit update. And while that's just about saved there, we're going to reload. We're going to see that this one stays here, and this one is going to be a slide in and then a fade in up. Reload, just like that. So we can also stylize that, of course, just using the new style features available in this particular theme. It's not available in the older designs, but in this particular one it is available. So we're going to go over here and we're going to say that in the breadcrumb here, we're going to give it the diagonal stripes. Perfect. Hit update. And we're going to just wait for the page to save. All right, here we go. Oops. There we go. And you can see it's just as we had said, diagonal stripes, first line bigger, second line smaller, and it animates just all the same. So as you saw there on the edit page, the more calls to action on a page, the more that will show up here, and you can configure them differently. And you can of course set the default call to action through the widget interface, And again, on page-by-page basis, you can specify which call to action you want to use. Maybe on the home page it's one, maybe on the About Us page it's not a call to action but just animated text, and the Contact Us, maybe it is a call to action and it links off to maybe a support page or something like that. So the possibilities are endless. It's just up to how you want to configure your site. Anyways, I hope that all makes sense.